Are you considering divorce? Are you dealing with it now? Are you on the other side and not sure what comes next? You've come to the right place. Welcome to the Divorce Do's and Don'ts Show with your host, Lisa C. Decker.
Hello, and welcome to the Divorce Do's and Don'ts Show. I'm your host, Lisa C. Decker, certified divorce financial analyst, real estate collaboration specialist in divorce, and certified amicable divorce professional. That's a new training that I took recently, and I'm happy to share that with you. I am the CEO and founder of Divorce Money Matters and the organization that brings you this show, DivorceTown USA. Thank you for joining us today. You know, we are going to be talking about things that happen in March. March is the month that is known to have the most divorce filings. People do their most research in January on divorce, but March has March Madness. So we call this Divorce Month. And our goal this month is to keep March Madness on the basketball court and help you have a saner, savvier, money-saving divorce, especially when it comes to choosing a family law attorney. Now, listen up, folks. This is probably one of the most critical pieces of getting through your divorce with your sanity and your wallet intact, okay? We've got one of our DivorceTown members today that's going to be talking to us because no one wants to have to divorce their divorce attorney while they're in the process of divorcing their spouse. And I will tell you, I've seen that many times over the 15 years that I've been doing this work. So choose wisely from the beginning. And how can you do that? Well, today's guest, Pia Koslow, is an attorney, and she's going to walk us through the steps to choosing the right family law attorney for your family. Pia, if you want to come on camera, anytime here is great. I know we were having some technical issues there. Oh, goody, there she is, that beautiful smile. Pia is a seasoned family law attorney, a guardian ad litem, and the mediator with Koslow Law Offices, LLC, registered in the Georgia Office of Dispute Resolution. She's also a certified amicable divorce professional and a member of the Amicable Divorce Network and DivorceTown USA. Counseling her clients through the divorce process in a holistic manner, Pia is focused on helping her clients design their path forward with a full understanding of all options as the process proceeds. Welcome to the show today, Pia. We are so honored to have you here. It is such a pleasure. So, you know, we talked a little bit before the recording started, the show started, and why is choosing the right attorney a critical factor of the divorce process?
Well, Lisa, I'm happy to be here today. Thank you for that warm and welcoming intro. It is really critical for a lot of reasons. The counselor an advisor that you choose. And I also like to think of your attorney as your thought partner as you proceed through your divorce. Really helps you set the tone for the process that you're going to have. It helps you think about your vision, craft a vision, think about your strategy, think about other resources that you're going to employ in the divorce process to focus on the best interest of your health, on the health of your children, if you have children, and to address all of your needs related to the division of asset and debt in a way that you're comfortable with. And sometimes people don't have a vision, sometimes they do, but getting to that right professional that's going to work with you helps you set a tone where you can feel more settled, more confident, and just more comfortable as you proceed through what can feel like an overwhelming and very stressful process.
Well, divorce is all of that for sure. And I love what you talked about, setting the tone. And I want to make one additional comment to that. It's not just who you pick. It's also who your spouse picks, because, you know, in setting the tone, that you may want a collaborative, amicable type divorce. But if your spouse isn't aware of the things that you're going to learn here today, and they hire someone who is not settlement minded. Maybe they're a trial lawyer and they love litigating, and that's what they're going to go for. You know, I'm going to crucify your spouse and get you all I can get. Well, then it's game on. And that can change the tone, and neither spouse may want that. So it's really critical that both spouses are on board with looking for the kind of attorneys who are going to listen to their wants and needs. So I love that, setting the tone from the start. You know, how you start your divorce is likely how you're going to end it. And if it starts off contentious, it's very hard to backpedal, because many times the spouses lose trust in each other. And I've actually been in situations with lawyers who have had the clients wanted an amicable divorce, but the lawyers themselves had bad blood between them from other cases, and their egos got involved and they were fighting among each other. And the clients were saying to me, how do we get out of this nightmare? So that's really great advice that you give there.
I think, Lisa, you're so right. And it's interesting with tone, because I think even if somebody goes to somebody that doesn't have an amicable collaborative process, if the other spouse is determined that's going to be their counselor and their attorney of choice, still there's choice in how we respond. And sometimes responses can minimize, can reduce the extent to which issues are expanded. And if you don't choose to fight fire with fire, but you kind of continue with a reasonable, rational tact, sometimes, not in all cases, but sometimes there's still hope for reducing the overall hostility and stress and expense that's created by that attorney that is just intent on adding fuel to the fire rather than proceeding in that kind of more effective process.
So much value in that right there, folks. You know, Pia is sharing from her legal experience, and you know, this kind of stuff you can't learn anywhere. You have to be in the trenches to have seen the mistakes that are made. And when you're getting two professionals here, you're getting an attorney and a certified divorce financial analyst who work in this industry, take this to heart, take heed on this. It's very important that you, at least, you can't control what your spouse does, but that you at least find the right attorney for you that is going to be able to represent you in the way that you want. So what are the steps that a person should take in choosing a family law attorney? I understand that there are 3 of them. So what's the first one?
Well, there are 3, and I might build in a pre-step before the first. I think for everybody to think initially what kind of a process they'd like to accomplish. What are some adjectives that they think about when they think about what kind of an attorney they want, what kind of a divorce process they want to engage in. And I think that helps, because my first step that I would advocate for is research. And it is, you know, the first step in research, we know there's always many steps to each, you know, larger step. The first step of research is asking for names. And great place to start is with friends that have gone through the process, or friends that have friends that have gone through the process. We frequently socialize and know people that are like us, and sometimes approach things like us or don't. And sometimes we know that about our friends. But collecting names, looking at those names on LinkedIn, looking at websites, asking around. A therapist is another wonderful reference for anybody that has one. They frequently have a few different attorneys that they refer to based on personality type and need, and having a sense of who their patients are. If you have friends that are attorneys in other areas, they have networks. And if you are more private and don't really want to go asking in this way, there are wonderful trusted networks like DivorceTown USA, like the Amicable Divorce Network, where attorneys are vetted from the perspective of being attorneys that are looking to reduce conflict, that are focused on educating clients through the process, that are focused on figuring out what's the best process for this particular client, family, given the facts and circumstances. And that research, it's an action step you can do, it's information you can get. And I think that's a great first step to entering in to figure out which professional do you want to work with.
Very good. And I'm going to throw a little wrinkle in the ask friends and family realm, because sometimes, they're too close to the situation and they want to offer advice as well. And sometimes they fan the flames, right? So you got to be careful with family and friends that they don't ignite things worse. And also make sure that if they do refer someone, that their divorce was similar to yours, because they may not have the same situation and you may not get or want the same type of outcome. But I do think that all of those things that you mentioned are great. And, DivorceTown and the Amicable Divorce Network, we're here because we want people to have resources and quality, trusted professionals like yourself. So we try to make that step easier for everyone. So avail yourself to that. And so what's the next step, obviously?
So after you have names, don't go into analysis paralysis, but begin to think, I've looked at a few different names. I like, if time and finances permit, to schedule one, if not more than one consult. The value of 2 consults is you have a little bit of a frame of reference. You can compare. There are attorneys that when you're referred to them by a therapist, by a friend, they'll get on the phone with you. Some of them will talk and try to get a little bit of information to see if you're a fit before they schedule a consult. And that's a great initial call to see how you feel in that 15-minute phone call. Sometimes you speak with a paralegal, and that can be helpful from the perspective of getting a sense of how an attorney's office runs. But moving into that stage of beginning to schedule 1 or 2 consultations with the attorneys that, when you've done your research, you've seen that they have created an image, and not just an image, but they have information and they use buzzwords that appeal to what you're looking for. Frequently, if you really read through websites, now LinkedIn profiles have become greatly expanded. We're able to put a lot of content and information on them and look at them, see if there's any past client testimonials. How are they reviewed? What are the adjectives that other past clients have used to describe this attorney? And it's not scientific, but I think we all need to rely on our gut a little bit. What does our gut say in terms of who would we like to go that next step with, and schedule a consultation? And I do think scheduling a consultation is a great step in the process.
Absolutely. I'm going to add to that at DivorceTown, at Divorce Money Matters, my CDFA site, we also have a list of, there's a divorce financial fitness kit. It is a free resource that you can download. And there is a list of 50 questions that you can ask when you're interviewing an attorney. And we don't want you to go in and grill the attorney with all 50 questions. It's just a prepper, a primer for you to think about things that might relate to you, and then have questions available to ask the attorney to help you decide, is this the right fit for me? And because a lot of times, having never been in this situation before, you might not know the questions to ask. So that's vitally important as well. And so did you want to add anything more to that step before we get to number 3?
No, I think that's a great resource that you've provided. I think that's invaluable. And to ask, I love what you said about asking the questions that resonate most with you in regard to what your priorities are in the professional you're going to retain.
It's so important, no matter which professionals, right? You want to make sure that you're getting quality professionals in therapy and your legal matters and your financial matters, and then you're going to maybe have ancillary professionals to bring in, like certified divorce lending professionals for your mortgages, for pre-qualification or refinances. And then you might need a realtor, a real estate collaboration specialist. So, knowing this list of questions will help prime you for all of that, because you'll start thinking outside the box. Well, what do I need to ask this person and this person? But we want to get you a solid foundation with your legal, your therapeutic, and your financial folks as your three-legged stool getting started. And then, listen to your professionals to guide you to who else you will need there. And by the way, CDFAs work with a lot of attorneys and can give you great referrals as well.
That's so true, Lisa. Thank you for adding that. It's a really great resource. And sometimes you're working with people before they've engaged in the legal process, which is an excellent way to begin as well.
Well, as a financial neutral, that's the way that we handle it here. We do work with couples who come to us and say, we want to figure out what we have before we get started. And so, we help guide them in that way, but we don't offer legal counsel. We're not attorneys, and we don't practice law. So we require in our firm that you have attorneys to consult with along the way, and to maybe if you haven't settled, to take you through mediation or settlement negotiations between attorneys, however you choose to do it, however your attorney guides you to do it, and then to draft and review your paperwork at the end. So you're putting many processes in place, and that's just one way to go about it, folks. But the point here is that by figuring out what are your options, which sound best for you and your spouse, getting the right people on board, working through their systems and processes, and knowing that they're all working together for your best interest, can help reduce the time frame, reduce the cost, and reduce the anxiety through all of it. I'm told, and if you've got different figures on this, Pia, I'd love to know, but what I've learned is that the average divorce in America, it costs $15,000 to $25,000 per spouse in legal fees, and takes in Georgia about 12 to 18 months on average. Would you say that's about right?
I think the average, you and I would say it's not as common with the people that we work with, because our process is a little different for all of the reasons that you just stated. There's so many wonderful professionals now that focus on helping people through the process, issue spotting. And when you work with somebody like you from the beginning, where you're getting organized to know what your finances are, to get a sense of what the issues are going to be, because you know your assets, you know your debts, you've looked at it, both parties feel like they're on the same page because they've worked with a neutral that's explained the numbers, that's looked a little bit at a budget and whatever the specifics are that relate to that case. And they then go to an attorney. Each of these clarifying and organizing steps and working with the right professional at the right time minimizes the overall cost. Mm-hmm. And I think our profession has evolved tremendously, where now we have, like you said, the certified divorce lending professionals and realtors that they don't just say, oh, I've worked with people going through divorce. They've done the courses. They understand what the divorce process looks like. They can anticipate the issues before they come up. Mm-hmm. And I think because of this wealth of these resources, the people that we work with, their processes are typically a little less expensive, and we hope shorter, because gosh, 12 months maybe at a max, but to begin looking at 18 months in the process of divorce, that's stressful. And that delay can happen for various different reasons. And sometimes the delay helps, and sometimes it doesn't. And it's just a matter of figuring out, how do we get through this process in the most effective way with the issues that we're addressing at the time.
And I should have clarified in that statement that that's a traditional litigated divorce. Mm-hmm. And I was comparing the processes that we use as a part of Amicable Divorce Network and DivorceTown are usually far less expensive and far less time consuming. So, going to the right professionals and getting the right team in place from the start is vital if you want to get through this with your mind and your money intact.
I couldn't agree with you. You say it. I agree with you, Lisa.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm glad we're so in sync. Pia, it's wonderful to have you in our network, knowing that we have wonderful attorneys like you to refer folks to when I'm working with clients and I'm ready to, send them off to their attorneys. It's great to know that you are among them, because we want to get folks to the right people from the start. So what are some of the questions that folks should ask in a consult and learn from the consultation? These are really important questions here.
So I will tell you what I like to do in a consultation, and that I hope people leave with from their consultations. I think that we can start. I try to get to know somebody a little bit. I want to know their story. I want to know how they got to where they're at. I learn helpful things about resources they may need. And I also learn a little bit about their spouse and some sensitivities, and that helps us strategize about how we get started. So I like to figure out, what are the terms that are going to relate to this person's divorce? Do they have children? What do their assets and debts look like? What is the lay of the land? And then I like to give them a little bit of a primer on how those issues are addressed. And I like to then begin explaining, one size does not fit all. We have so many ways we can go about this process. I think people always think, oh, well, we're going to file for divorce and we're going to begin. And in many cases, that's not necessarily the ideal starting place. Sometimes one side or one party wants to think about preparing a memo of settlement to kickstart the process. And that enables another party to then go review it and get it reviewed with counsel. There's so many different ways to begin. And without kind of doing that consultation right here, I like for people to know what the options are. I like, and it's interesting to note, it can happen. I usually do a 2-hour consult. And at the end of that, my hope is that people either know, if they retain counsel, how we might begin, or they know the outstanding questions they have for themselves that need to be answered. They know the preparatory steps they may want to take. Is there documentation they need? Is there information they need? Have we crafted the conversation with their spouse about how they're going to get started? Have we strategized about what that beginning step looks like? So I like for there to be information shared, education about options, and really crafting, how do we begin to move forward? Because most people that go to a professional, they want the structure of knowing, what will this process look like? Where do we need to get to at the end? And then how do I get started? And what are my options? And I think solidifying and choosing what you want to do has a lot to do with the factors in your family. Sometimes people are at a place where they want to say, I know that we're going to get divorced. My spouse is not at that place yet. So we might talk about what kind of counseling might assist. Sometimes people are already in marital counseling and they want to use that marital counselor and that safe space as the place to say, I love you and I care about you and I want to co-parent with you, but I can't stay married and I want to do this in a healthy way. So we really try to think based on the facts and circumstances of the client. How do we move forward? And I think that at the end then, opening it up for questions, because people frequently do come with a list of questions. I think because of all of the resources, all the information on the internet, helpful things that are at DivorceTown USA to include the list of questions you've provided. And I know there's a list of documents that people can begin collecting. They sometimes come in quite educated and they do have questions. And then sometimes people show up and they're wonderful professionals in their own right, but they say, I need you to take me through this. What do I need to know? How do I get this started? And I like for people to get that structure and that contour from a consult. And I think that it's good for people to listen to how an attorney communicates, and does it resonate with a person, with the client. So I think I've said a lot, Lisa.
No, that's great information. I'm just letting you go on because it's wonderful. I mean, everything that you've shared there is spot on. And, one of the things that I learned all these years, I've been to a lot of trainings at the Georgia Bar for joint trainings for the legal family law attorneys and oh my goodness, I'm having a tough time with my words today, with financial folks who practice in the divorce arena, is that, and this is told to us by the bar, is that the largest complaints that they get from clients are communication factors, attorneys who just don't tell them everything up front, guide them through the process. They don't know what they need. They don't know what comes next. And so the fact that you're taking 2 hours to sit with someone and lead them through all of this from the very beginning is powerful. And I praise you for that. That's all I could think about as you were saying that you're not one of those. I've had so many people come to me that say, I don't know what to expect at mediation. I don't even know what mediation is. My attorney hasn't told me anything. They just ask me, what do you want? And I'll fight for it. Well, that's a recipe for disaster. And, mediation is one of the most important days of your divorce. You have an opportunity to get things settled before you head to court, which is the last thing that you want to do. And so, I think it's so important that you have an attorney who can communicate like Pia here. And I'm very happy to hear you say those things.
Well, I agree with you, Lisa, and you do hear in malpractice seminars and professionalism seminars. I think communication, I keep, a note on my desk, and I had a wonderful mentor that said, even if you're behind, even if you were supposed to get it on Wednesday and it's going to be Thursday, tell that person. We want to be constantly in communication with clients because they feel held. They do need to know the steps that are coming through, that are coming up in the process. And I feel that is one of the most important things to ask in a consultation. Get a sense of how the person communicates. Is it clear in that time that you have together? If it's not, don't think it's going to get better. Mm-hmm. We show up with our best game in the beginning, and we all hope, as people going out and seeking professional help from others, that what we see at the beginning is what continues through the process. And you do need to be with someone that's going to communicate, that's going to be responsive. And I think you said another very important point, which is expectation setting. And for a client to set, for an attorney to set expectations about what the process is going to look like from the beginning, having these discussions, it allays some of your fears and some of the stress and anxiety. No attorney can guarantee any outcome. No. All we can do is create a process that is conducive to helping a client through it with the best tools and resources, and with making the best decisions in each moment of time, doing the right cost-benefit analysis, thinking through the issues. And I'm interviewing clients in a consult as well, because I work best with someone when we have similar energy, when we are going to be able to get on a wavelength about how to accomplish a goal. And I think that people now are very savvy as they're looking for counsel. And that's something to think about. How do I feel talking to this person? Do I feel more calm after I've had this consultation? Or do I feel kind of rattled and like my hair is more on end than it was when I walked in? What am I like? Exactly. Red flag. And go with your gut. There's no science to this. I'm finding with so many things that we do in life, it's more of an art, but most of it goes back to relationship and communication, and thinking about somebody that can help you craft a vision and then prioritize. because that's the expectation setting piece. We can't accomplish everything in a divorce. It can't be a zero-sum game, unless you want to kind of have the most stress and spend the most money and then still leave dissatisfied. It has to be a process where we set priorities and think very intentionally about what's most important to us. And I think we want a professional with us that can be a thought partner in that process. And some attorneys, some clients need more hand holding than others. Some know the process they want, but need tweaking. Some need a process created. And there's everywhere in between. And clients need to find an attorney that's going to listen and be with them in this journey to make it to the end and then they're going to feel better about the outcome. If it was a clear process that felt comfortable, they'll feel better about the outcome. I don't want to say regardless, but in light of knowing we couldn't achieve everything, but we worked on what were the highest priorities.
And, to follow up with that before we wrap up here, this goes back to what I said earlier about having someone who can give you more clarity working alongside of your attorney, because attorneys don't always have the answers to the financial matters. I've worked with so many attorneys and their friends over the years, and they say, I don't like math, right? It's kind of a standing joke. That's why I went to legal school, to law school. But, if you use each of your professionals for their areas of expertise and you combine all of those areas of expertise and you have an attorney who recognizes when it's something that's outside of their wheelhouse or when you need more emotional support, you don't want to have your clients calling you for a 2-hour session where they're just going on and on about things that are emotional that you really don't have the tools in your toolbox to help them with, right? So when you have an attorney who can say, listen, this is not the best use of your time. I want to refer you to so-and-so or so-and-so, and let's get some clarity around this, or let's get you some support around that. That is an amazing attorney, because they're not just trying to control every aspect of your life and keep every dollar in their firm. They're doing what's best for their clients. So I wanted to add that little caveat at the end there.
I think that's critical, Lisa. And I think that you want to work with an attorney that that not only collaborates well, but to your point, wants to bring in those resources when they're helpful, when they're necessary, the right people at the right moment. And that has them, and it has people that they're comfortable working with, to whom they can refer. And I'm always comfortable if somebody comes to me with a certified divorce financial advisor. That's wonderful. We work where you're at, and people with therapists using them. And I'll frequently say to people that might not have one, if it's possible, that would likely be great. Because it'll help you, but really an attorney that can help bring in and is networked and likes to collaborate with a team when necessary, I think is a real plus. You're so right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this has been a wonderful chat. I feel like we should have a cup of tea next time.
That would be great. I'd love to. Let's do that.
Let's do that. Well, folks, you can find Pia Koslow at DivorceTownUSA.com. And Pia, do you want to give them any more information of how they can reach out to you as well?
My website is www.koslowlaw.com, and I'm on LinkedIn with a lot of material. I have a short, a 5-module podcast, Demystifying Divorce, with some helpful information. And I just advise people to research this as much as they would anything else. It's such an important process, and there are really wonderful professionals out there that, and there's a fit. There's so many different, we all have a different style and a different way, and there is a fit for you. And that initial research and preparation will put you in a good place as you begin the process. And help you lead to an educated outcome that you can feel good about. And I wish that for everybody.
That's wonderful. That is wonderful. Well, I'm next up. I'm going to share some resources for you that are free from DivorceTown and Divorce Money Matters. So hang on. We're going to get to that next.
At www.divorcetownusa.com, you can download the DivorceTown USA roadmap you see here, which includes an ebook that explains each of these options, helps you understand which one will be best for you and your family, and outlines other professionals and/or resources you may need access to along the way. DivorceTown USA also offers many free articles, videos, and other free resources to help you have a smarter, saner, savvier divorce. In addition, the DivorceTown Marketplace, also found on DivorceTownUSA.com, has been designed to bring you some of the best books, products, and resources that we've found through the years to help you through your divorce so you can thrive long after the process. Featuring the various sections you see here, the Marketplace has something for everyone at any stage of the divorce process. DivorceTown USA also sponsors a virtual divorce help and hope support group through meetup.com, which means meets once or twice a month via Zoom. Meeting dates and times are always posted on DivorceTown USA in the event section. At www.divorcemoneymatters.com, you can download your free divorce financial fitness kit that Lisa created to help you get better organized and take better control of your money matters during your divorce. The kit includes an ebook, a working Excel spreadsheet of documents you'll need to gather, and a list of 50 must-ask questions for when you're ready to meet with a family law attorney. Once you've chosen the right family law attorney for your family, how can you develop a successful attorney-client relationship? Please join us next week as family law attorney and DivorceTown USA member Tracy Weiss gives us the do's and don'ts of the legal side of the divorce process. We're sure you found this week's episode of the Divorce Do's and Don'ts show helpful, and we look forward to seeing you all next week and every week as we continue improving the way the world divorces, one family at a time.